Training camp is now 30 days away, Brian. Are you
Ready.
excited?
I am ready.
What are the things that need to develop for this Cowboys team to be better than last year? The truckwreck.com fan text is open at 877-881-1053. I'll give you a thing. You tell me if you agree that it needs to improve, and give a verdict on if you think it'll be better than what it was last year. Biggest thing by far is Dak, and we believe Dak's going to be better than last year, right?
Yes.
There's no way he's going to be that bad.
No, better. Never worry about it. I've said this before. Never worry about the physical side of Dak. Mentally, where are he and the offensive coordinator right now? That's what I want to know. I don't want to go through 8 games of guys and gals that watch tape that tell me, well, simple things are kind of shutting down the Cowboys right now.
Yeah.
I don't
expect that to change very much.
Okay.
I think you could kind of bet on a streak.
Yeah.
It's been 29 years of Dak on this planet, like 33 of Kellen Moore on this planet. And what they had last year under crisis is what we're likely to see this year to start. They didn't think it was so big they had to reinvent anything or go searching for answers. They just Jason Garretted it and said they needed to execute better. So I don't think they're going to have a big mental adjustment going into next year. Let me ask you this, though, Brian. After Dak, the biggest thing is the protection of Dak and the running game. Right. And we're talking about offensive line. Their run block win rate was actually pretty good last year. Yeah. If I'm Kellen Moore and Joe Philbin, I'm thinking our jobs are on the line right here.
Yes.
So like your motivation is at an all-time high, and I hope it's going to be significantly better than last year. Adding Tyler Smith, taking away Lyle Collins, I don't know if we should believe that it actually will, though.
I don't. I mean, to me, I am worried. I am worried at a couple of spots. I'm worried what's going on at left guard. And if the left guard situation, if all of a sudden it turns into Connor McGovern is the starter there, that they had this change of plans of how they wanted to play it, then Tyler Smith, I hope you're competing at right tackle, because I think he's a better player than what we get from what you get from Terrence Steele over there. I would hate to believe that he's not good enough to be on the field.
Okay. Next thing, make up for the loss of Randy Gregory.
I think they'll be fine with that.
Really?
I do.
Last year's pass rush was incredible. I felt like in probably 3 or 4 games, it was the reason they won.
They might have to do it in numbers. It might have to be a combination of guys, but I think they'll make up for it. I think they'll find a way. Was it 6.5 sacks, 7 sacks, something like that?
Yeah.
I think that's. I mean, I am buying Dorrance Armstrong this year.
It's more than just the raw production of the sacks, though. It's a feeling the quarterback gets when he sees that blur happening off that blind side.
I feel like that we're going to see an emergence of Dorrance Armstrong. That's one of my. Last year we were talking about with Cedric Wilson. And we thought about Cedric Wilson as a player and all that, and guys are telling me this and that about Cedric Wilson, and you kind of watch him play, and you're like, oh, okay. But I do believe that you're going to see a player that makes a big jump is Dorrance Armstrong. That
would be huge right there. Dorrance on a play-to-play basis last year gave you about 2/3 of what Randy Gregory was, but it was a big jump for Dorrance, and maybe he can do that again.
Yep.
Okay, consistently get the ball to the wide receivers, I think, has to happen. Last year, way too many games with Amari and CD barely doing anything, and defenses rarely had, really had their number when with the coverages they were calling. This one kind of goes back to Kellen Moore as well. The wide receivers aren't going to be better, but if you could run the ball, I could actually see the defense having to play you honest, and you actually end up having more success with your wide receivers. So I'm going to say this one is actually pretty possible if you can get that running game going.
Yeah, I think that it's such a bad state that they went ahead and they got rid of the wide receiver coach, and they got a new one there. They feel like they need more juice in the room. So we will see. But I am not enthusiastic until you get the healthy bodies back.
Yeah, and we're not really gonna know what it's like until maybe October, right? Until you get Gallup back.
Well, I tell you what, I haven't talked to Britt Brown or anybody like that over there about Gallup, but just from my own 2 eyes, watching him move and go through drills and stuff like that, I think he's a sooner than a later. I really do. They might have a plan where like, oh, well, he's going to miss 2-3 games, whatever. Man, if he misses the first game, I can understand that. The second game, I wouldn't be surprised if we're starting to hear him work his way back into this into the rotation.
Wow, that would be awesome. How about the 254 quoting me? No way he's going to be that bad. And then the reply, man, he just was that bad. Expecting something else at this point isn't going to pay off. Well, you know, that's the mindset or the line of thinking I had when it comes to Kellen Moore, Joe Philbin, Dak Prescott's mentality. But when it comes to the physicality, last year Dak was compromised very significantly. He always was going to be coming back from that catastrophic leg injury. And then you added the calf and a shoulder, you know, as he's making his way through the season and in training camp. And he was physically compromised significantly. I think last year was about 70% of the player that Dak Prescott's going to be this year. Higher or lower than that, Brian?
I think it's going to be higher, but because I've already seen from him, just looking at him physically, he looks great.
Yeah, that's what everybody's saying that was at OTAs.
Yeah, and he's moving around. General, I think last year when you and I were at camp, and you said, "Man, he's limping." I mean, he's limping already. I mean, he's walking out. He's limping. Why? I mean, you know, and then you watched him run. It was a struggle.
Yeah.
Initially, it was a struggle, and then the calf injury, that was a struggle too. I think he's got all these things behind him. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to see a different player.
On that first step, it's really tough when your lower legs are out of whack. Yeah. Now, once you start running and your quads and all the rest of your body is moving, you're like, okay, I'm kind of flying through this, and you just kind of stay on the balls of your feet. But when getting out of that to take off running, I think really killed him against that shell coverage. Yeah. He should have been going for 80 yards a game on the ground the way that defenses were playing him last year. And he really needed to because his running game couldn't take that yardage. Once he takes that yardage or the running backs do and the defense is playing you honestly, I think Dak is going to find a lot more opportunity to pass the ball into the secondary. Yeah. Okay, speaking of that secondary, can they be elite? I can see it happening. I don't know why there isn't more talk about this Cowboys secondary. Getting Malik Hooker back, Jalen Kearse coming off a big year, Trevon Diggs. I mean, and then you look at the quarterbacks they're going to face. You know, there are only like 15 quarterbacks in the entire NFL that can beat you. The Cowboys only have games against 5 of them next year, so they get a huge break. Each AFC West team is going to play 6 quarterbacks that can beat you before they even get out of division. So hopefully this secondary can feast. Hopefully this pass rush can make it happen. And, you know, the Cowboys can, I think at this point it would be unexpected actually get around to some of this unfinished business we've been talking about for 2.5 decades. It would be majorly unexpected.